This is Matthew Kratter from Trader University, and today I want to answer the question, was Bitcoin compromised by the Fed and the Bilderberg Group? I've been sent this tweet by a number of people in this diagram, and the way it goes is something like this. Super unpopular opinion, the Bilderberg Group, the Federal Reserve Central Bank, and MasterCard compromised Bitcoin. Bitcoin maxis will become livid defending this and claim they are lies, yet it's public knowledge available to all. And then there's this diagram that's been circulating around. And the way it works is this. The same guy who's the chairman, or used to be the chairman of the Bilderberg Group, I think up until about 2016, Henri de Castries, he's the CEO and chairman of AXA, which is a European company. They have a venture arm called AXA Strategic Ventures, which invested $55 million in Blockstream. On this side, we have MasterCard investing in DCG, which is the troubled crypto group we've been talking about over the past few days, and then Digital Currency Group investing in Blockstream. Meanwhile, on this side, we have Glenn Hutchins, board director of the Fed, as well as being on the board of DCG, investing in DCG, which invested in Blockstream. And then it goes on to say Blockstream does the programming for Bitcoin BTC. Blockstream crippled Bitcoin BTC with high fees. We're going to see in a moment why they keep repeating BTC so you don't confuse it with something else. Anyway, Blockstream crippled Bitcoin with high fees so that people will have to use the Lightning Network. And as we all know, the Bitcoin blockchain is completely empty now because the fees are too high. Anyway, Blockstream crippled Bitcoin with high fees, so people will have to use the Lightning Network for everyday transactions. Result in bold here. The Bilderberg Group, which represents the banking and political elite, the Federal Reserve, Central Bank, MasterCard, and traditional banking sector have taken over Bitcoin, crippled it to turn it into a currency system that they control and profit from. I'm not sure exactly how that works. Analysis, Bitcoin has been compromised. Now I have to say this diagram was put together by someone who has a kindergarten level understanding of how both Bitcoin and venture capital investing work. In fact, this is one of the worst conspiracy theories that I've ever seen, and I've obviously seen a lot. I get sent a lot of these sort of things. But the only reason I'm making this video is because so many people kept requesting it, so I felt like I really did need to address this. It's important to notice that this diagram, if you see who's tweeting it out, it's mostly being pushed by Bcash, by BCH proponents. Bcash is a failed hard fork of BTC. For example, we can see here Luke Pryor. He calls himself the high priest of Bcash, and he says facts, Bitcoin is compromised, and then he tweets this same diagram. If we take a look at the chart of Bcash versus Bitcoin, it's been a straight crash down as Bitcoin has continued to take market share from it. And so this is why I say that Bcash is a failed fork. It's not just my opinion. This is something that the market has decided. So we have this diagram. What to make of it? Well, the research I was able to do, it does show that AXA Strategic Ventures and AXA Strategic Ventures did invest in Blockstream. This was back in 2014, I believe. And DCG also has invested in Blockstream, and they themselves had MasterCard as investors. And it does look like Henri de Castries is or was chairman of Bilderberg Group and CEO of AXA. So all these basic facts are true, and this is how these sort of things spread, because people take a sprinkling of facts and then apply a completely preposterous interpretation to them. So my first take would be shocking news revealed. Rich people invest in companies, and some companies, wait for it, invest in other companies. That's the first thing this diagram tells you, that you have companies in the crypto space investing in a Bitcoin-only company like Blockstream. That's the first takeaway. Second takeaway is all the conclusions that are drawn here are obviously not true. And unless you are in the Bitcoin space and have done some studying, I can see why people might be fooled by this. But if you spend any time going down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, you will know that Blockstream, the company, has zero control over the Bitcoin transaction fee market. This is just a complete lie. Transaction fees are set purely by supply and demand. And Blockstream's hard at work on many different projects. They're not really there to cause supply and demand problems in the Bitcoin fee market. So that is just not true. There's zero evidence to support that assertion. Fact number 2, Blockstream does not do most of the programming for Bitcoin. This is done, as we've talked about many times on this channel, this is done by Bitcoin Core developers, loosely organized, globally dispersed group of devs. And Bitcoin Core devs work for the Bitcoin community. And it's really a position of honor and a lot of hard work, and in many ways a thankless job. But we're grateful to people who volunteered to be Bitcoin Core devs. Bitcoin Core devs have zero power to force anyone to run their software. This is something that a lot of people outside of Bitcoin always assert. They can create whatever software they want. I certainly don't think that Bitcoin Core devs have any bad motivations or anything, but even if they did, if the group were to change, there's no way they can force anyone to run their software either on their Bitcoin miner or on their Bitcoin full node. So this is a huge red flag saying that Blockstream does most of the programming for Bitcoin. That's just simply not true. Fact number 3, or response number 3, would be Blockstream does not control the Lightning Network at all. Lightning Network it's an open protocol. Anyone can build on it, and there are different implementations of it. And in fact, the implementation of Lightning that Blockstream does run and that is developing is called Core Lightning. I believe it used to be called C Lightning. And it's not even the most popular one. The most popular implementation of Lightning, which is LND by Lightning Labs. Lightning Labs as well does not control the Lightning Network, but you have different corporations, different individuals, different groups working on the Lightning Network because it's an open source network and an open source an open protocol that anyone can build on. So this is just not true at all. Blockstream does not control the Lightning Network. I think they wish that their implementation actually was a little more popular than it actually is. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to create one of these conspiracy theories by using the same facts to create my own conspiracy theory. And there's always a lot of hand waving involved, as you'll see from that tweet. But I'm going to take the same diagram. I'm going to begin with Glenn Hutchins over here, who is, as we said, on the board of both DCG, Digital Currency Group, and also on the board of the Fed. If we look at his bio over at the DCG group, we can see that he's a co-founder of Silver Lake. He's a director on the board of AT&T and NASDAQ. He's a director at the Fed. He's vice chairman of the Brookings Institute and Economic Club of New York, and a member of the executive committee of the New York Presbyterian Hospital, also owner and member of the executive committee of the NBA, of the Boston Celtics in particular. So here we go. Here's the conspiracy theory I'm going to build from this. Are you aware of the shadowy connections between your mobile service provider, AT&T, the Boston Celtics, the Fed, and Bitcoin? Did you know that when you buy a Boston Celtics ticket, you are unknowingly helping to support a web of surveillance that stretches from your cell phone provider all the way up to the world's most powerful central bank? Even your local hospital is not safe, New York Presbyterian Hospital, and at the center of all of it is the shadowy figure, Glenn Hutchins, who looks like this. You've probably never heard of him, but through his influence on various boards, Glenn Hutchins controls not only DCG, but Bitcoin itself. So you can see it's very easy. It can be very fun to create one of these conspiracy theories, but just doing a smattering of facts like this, you really need to have a little better control of how a better understanding of how Bitcoin works to make these things seem plausible. And you'll often see this. You'll hear conspiracies that Blockstream somehow ruined Bitcoin back in 2017. What in fact happened was you had a group called Bcash that wanted to increase the block size, and the way it started off was with something called the New York Agreement, and we're going to talk about that really briefly here. The conclusion, though, is Bitcoin miners and large corporations do not control Bitcoin. And the New York Agreement, or the collapse of the New York Agreement in 2017, is a great example of how it was not possible. Even these people who had all this hash rate and all of this corporate power, they were still not able to impose their will on Bitcoin. So the New York group was a bunch of Bitcoin miners and very large companies in the Bitcoin space and crypto space. They were pushing for a hard fork called SegWit2x, which would double the block size. And I'll link here to the New York Agreement below. We can see here a letter from Barry Silbert over at Digital Currency Group, which is obviously having so many problems now, and basically encouraging people to join this group of very powerful people and corporations who wanted to increase Bitcoin's block size. And I think this is a good summary of how much power was on Barry's side and DCG's side. 58 companies located in 22 countries, 83% of the hashing power, $5.1 billion US monthly on-chain transaction volume, 20.5 million Bitcoin wallets. So this was a group. This included DCG and Coinbase and Grayscale and lots of other companies that tried to impose their will on Bitcoin. But even with this huge show of hash power, they had almost all the Bitcoin miners involved. What did we say? 83% of the hash rate. Even with this huge show of hash power and corporate collusion, they still failed to change Bitcoin, and they were unable to push this update through. They gradually all backed away from it. Here's an example of in April of 2018, Grayscale announcing they abandoned trying to push through this hard fork of Bitcoin. And so it's important to remember this history, not just so we can refute silly things like the tweet we examined today, but also to remember that if Barry Silbert and DCG do end up going bankrupt, I, for one, won't be weeping too many tears. We need to always remember what people like Barry Silbert, what people like Brian Armstrong of Coinbase and many others tried to do to Bitcoin in 2017. They tried to impose their will on the Bitcoin plebs, on the Bitcoin full nodes, and they lost. And I believe it was in the wake of this, of them losing, that then Bcash decided to go ahead and fork off from BTC. So these are the people who are pushing conspiracies like this. You have people like Luke Pryor, high priest of Bcash. And so you always have to know who the critics are and who's putting out the propaganda. But the problem with Bcash is their propaganda is really, really bad. I would be so embarrassed to be circulating something like this online, especially with their silly little diagram here of the puppets and somehow money is driving all of this. It's absolutely ridiculous. And basically nothing happened to Bitcoin. In fact, the opposite happened. All these companies were defeated in trying to push through these changes. I'll link, if you want to go a little bit more in depth, I'll link to this video, which I called Who Actually Controls Bitcoin, Miners, Corporations, or Whales? And this is a video in which I discussed the 2017 SegWit 2x failed hard fork and everything that went into it. I think this is important history to know because it really tells us what happens when corporations try to get together and corner Bitcoin and take control of it. It's never worked, and I don't think it will ever work in the future. If you enjoyed this video and you want to participate in the Black Friday sale, if you've been meaning to check out my paid courses, I'll stick a link in the description notes below. You can check out my paid course, The Ultimate Guide to Bitcoin, which I talk about how to buy Bitcoin anonymously, how to run your own node, how to hook up a wallet to your node, how to create a multi-vendor, do-it-yourself, multi-sig vault, and also how to coin join and a bunch of other things. This is really a hands-on course. It involves a little bit of theory about how Bitcoin works at the beginning, and then it really moves into a more practical sphere. So if you've already exhausted all my free videos on YouTube and you want to take it to a deeper level, go a little further down the rabbit hole, and you enjoy my teaching style, I'd encourage you to check out the sale, which is going on today. Again, I'll stick a link in the description notes below. And if you join Trader University Premium, you're going to get access to all of my courses. I have a ton of old trading courses here as well that are still quite relevant if you want to learn how to trade with options and futures, etc., how to trade an IPO, momentum stocks, etc., as well as the Bitcoin course. So I'd encourage you to check that out if you're interested in a Black Friday sale. If not, just stick with my free videos. I believe I have almost 1,000 videos now on YouTube. So watch all of those before you go the paid route. But when you're ready to go a little bit deeper, I encourage you to check out the paid course as well. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that subscribe and like button. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.